It's Friday. And you know what? The world doesn't give a fuck. We have to face the harsh reality that the world doesn't care about our hardships and strife. We have to take life by the balls and yank it. And now, your host for The World Doesn't Give a Fuck, James McGee.
Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee. It is Friday, so you know what that means. The world does not give a fuck Friday. Because it does not. Doesn't care about your feelings. Doesn't care about how hard your week was. So today, I'm going to be as serious as I've ever been on any topic. Liable to offend some people, and I really don't care. Some things that need to be said. Some things that are on my mind that have transpired this week that need to be said. And my message is to the left wing cop haters, race baiters. We, as we the world, don't give a fuck about your agenda, your feelings, whatever you're trying to do, because you are absolutely destroying this country. So last weekend, I believe it was the 9th, was the 10th anniversary of the death of Michael Brown. Michael Brown was killed in 2014 by the Ferguson, Missouri Police Department. Ferguson, Missouri is a suburb outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Michael Brown had committed a robbery, was stopped by police, or attempted to be stopped by police. He fought with the police, tried to take an officer's gun, and was shot and killed. 13 days of riots ensued. It was the incident that Black Lives Matter really got started, and the slogan "Hands up, don't shoot." Michael Brown did not have his hands up when he was shot. That was a lie. It was proven to be a lie immediately by the other criminal that was with Michael Brown. But still, that slogan and that narrative, hands up, don't shoot, carried on. It still carries on today. Because it doesn't matter when the facts come out, when the true facts come out. This agenda of the left, of the cop haters, of the race baiters, of the people like Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, they don't care. They only care about their agenda. So CBS News does a documentary or a mini documentary. I think it was a local CBS. And it was biased. Of course, CBS is very liberal and very biased. It was biased. And I don't know for sure if that's what kicked this off, but to remember Michael Brown 10 years later, they have a protest at the police department, which turned violent. Turned violent because of the protesters. They tried to break in a fence, a gate at the Ferguson Police Department. Until that point, officers were not engaged. They were there, but they were not engaged. They were on a perimeter. Once they started property damage, the chief ordered an arrest team in. Good for you, Chief. We're going to talk about more about Chief Troy Doyle more. Immediately when it became unlawful, he took immediate action. During this, 3 officers were injured. one critically. From my understanding, he is still in critical condition with a head injury. He was tackled. These officers didn't come in. They didn't have riot gear. They didn't come in and start swinging. They didn't come in and start pepper spraying or tasering or anything like that. They didn't run in. They were met with violence by thug criminals. They were met with violence. The chief in his interview made some really good points. So when this happened 10 years ago, it was always my opinion, once the facts came out, that Michael Brown was killed because of Michael Brown's actions. But one thing that I did notice was Ferguson at the time, I believe it was around 55% black 10 years ago. What I read today is 71% black. I believe the department might have been 40 or 50 officers. 10 years ago, they only had 3 black police officers. So I don't believe in this DEI shit. I don't. But what I do believe in is minority representation. What is the difference? To me, DEI is putting people just to plug in numbers and just to satisfy. Having minority representation is qualified people, the right people, and it represents the community. I believe in that. So I believe they could have done better. So since in the last 10 years, and I got this from the chief's interview and some other research that I did. In the last 10 years, there has been an increase in the number of black officers at Ferguson Police Department. The chief now is black. The mayor now is black. Over 50% of the officers of the Ferguson Police Department are black. You haven't heard any problems there. Any problems. I've been to Ferguson a few times, several times actually, in the last 10 years. Anytime I go to St. Louis, I go to Ferguson. There is a brewery there that I like, Ferguson Brewery. Ferguson is not a war zone. Ferguson is a regular town. It's not a shithole. I'm going to echo what the chief said. What are you protesting? I'm going to say it a little stronger. What in the fuck are you protesting? What is the problem now? Okay, let's say that the officer, and I refuse to say his name. He doesn't need his name to be said anymore. Let's say he was wrong, okay? Let's say that this officer was wrong. And let's say that there was a legitimate, that Michael Brown was murdered. Let's say that he was murdered. They have, if there was a problem, they have fixed the problem. Even though, in my opinion, there wasn't a problem with the police department or that individual police officer for sure. There was no any evidence of a systemic problem. But what if there was? When is it good enough for Black Lives Matter, who is just a money grab, to me, a domestic terrorist organization? When is it good enough that you to burn the city down? You burn the fucking city down. They rebuild. They fix. They give in to your demands, right? It's not good enough. It's never going to be good enough. One thing that the chief said that I didn't agree with, and which is admirable, it shows their effort, is that They even closed down streets for them. You don't owe them that. Let's stop giving into them at all. You don't give them this because this one incident proves that is never going to be good enough. This absolutely proves it. Michael Brown was a criminal. Michael Brown was committing a crime. And Michael Brown attacked a police officer, tried to take his gun, and he was shot and he was killed. Definitely tragic. But Michael Brown's actions dictated his death. Period. End of story. There are George Floyd statues popping up around the nation. Here is the problem and why we keep having problems. Michael Brown, George Floyd are not heroes. What have they ever done heroic? What have they ever done to be admired? But now we're treating them like heroes and martyrs. They're not martyrs. Absolutely not. Their story should be told to the young people coming up. They should be introduced to what Michael Brown did, his incident, George Floyd incident, and many others. But the storyline shouldn't be them being victims and murdered in cold blood by police, because that's false. It's absolutely not true. What the lesson needs to be is don't commit crimes. And if you do, don't fight with the police. Don't resist the police. Obey lawful orders. And George Floyd died of an overdose. That was proven. That has been absolutely proven. He was not murdered. He did not die of any asphyxiation. He died of a drug overdose. But the governor, Tim Walz, and the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, refused to admit that. Refused to admit, hey, we were wrong. And we keep villainizing the police and young officers like Travis Brown, who could die, who is fighting for his life, who has kids. George Floyd was a lifelong criminal. He robbed and beat a pregnant woman. Not glad that he died, but he died at his own doing, and he died at his own hands. Not the police hands. He died at his own hands in the choices that he made. We have got to stop allowing this agenda to be shoved down our throat when it is absolutely false, and it is causing a bigger divide. It is causing a bigger divide in this country because we will not stand up to Black Lives Matter and to Tim Walz and to Kamala Harris. We will not stand up to them being Crump and say, hold on, you're wrong. Because we don't want to appear racist, or we don't want to appear whatever. Well, I'm going to say it. I've had enough. It is a fucking enough. And let's talk about this. The fact that Officer Travis Brown of the Ferguson Police Department is black. Travis Brown is black. Does his life fucking matter to you, Ben Crump? Tim Walz? Kamala Harris? Black Lives Matter? Why doesn't his life matter to you? I haven't heard any of you denounce this. It's been a week. Kamala, it's been a week. Obama, it's been a week. And this has not been denounced. That's why we keep having this problem. And what we are teaching our young people, teaching them it's okay to go out and be violent. It's not. It's not okay. It is enough. And we have to stand up to this agenda, to these organizations, and say it. It's a fucking enough. We don't give a fuck about what you think you are entitled to. You are not. And you are wrong. And what you're doing is destructive and against the law. So I'm closing by saying pretty much what my message has been the entire time. We have got to put a stop and stand up to this agenda before more people get hurt and more people get killed. And elect leaders with some fucking balls. Leaders with some balls to say you're wrong. And you are the problem. You are the cause. I hope you have had a good week. I hope you have a good weekend. I will see you Monday. McGee is